I received an email recently from a woman asking me what the biblical view of wearing makeup as a Christian truly is. I'll give you that answer in today's video, and I'll also highlight one major thing I see so many people missing out on this particular topic before we end today's video. Two quick things I want to discuss before we move on to a very big passage on this particular topic. I want to talk about firstly my personal opinion. Firstly, I'm not the biggest fan of makeup, I'm not even gonna lie. And I thought it would be important for me to outline firstly my personal view so you know where I'm coming from when it comes to dealing with this particular situation. The second thing I want to discuss quickly before we move on to the first passage in today's video is if you're somebody who cannot live without makeup, if you're somebody who makeup has become an idol in your life, you are somebody who really should not be wearing makeup at all, just for the record. Now that we've got this easy stuff out of the way, now let's move to the first passage, which is a passage which many people who are against wearing makeup will take you to, and it's a passage centered in the Old Testament. This is the passage right here. It's 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 30. And notice what it says. It says, "And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard, and she painted her face," she put on some makeup, "and she tied her head and looked out at a window." Now, to simplify this for you, if you're not familiar with this particular story here, the logic typically goes something like this. Jezebel was evil and wore makeup. All women wearing makeup are like Jezebel. Therefore, women are sinful and evil for wearing makeup. Jezebel was evil and she did wear makeup. And all women who wear makeup are like Jezebel. Does that now follow that women are sinful and evil for wearing makeup? Not necessarily, because the fact of the matter is, how are all women who wear makeup similar to a woman like Jezebel? Well, the fact of the matter is they're similar to Jezebel in the fact that both women would be women who are wearing makeup. That is it. To say that just because Jezebel was an evil woman who wore makeup, and that means that any other woman who wears makeup is evil as well, is illogical in many different levels. And let me just give you one more example. If we follow that logic, we could say something like Jezebel was evil and was a queen, which is true. All women who are a queen are like Jezebel, which is true. They're both queens, right? Therefore, women are sinful and evil for being a queen. We wouldn't necessarily just say that a woman who was a queen like Jezebel would be evil because Jezebel was evil, would we? We would need to find passages in the Bible which prohibit and speak negatively against wearing makeup and things along those lines. If we didn't have any examples specifically outlawing or prohibiting wearing makeup in the Bible, then it would even be more confounded if the fact that we had righteous people in the Bible wearing makeup or anything along those lines, wouldn't it? And to be honest, we do find one example which does seem to suggest that wearing makeup wasn't always necessarily a bad thing or just for evil people. I'll show it to you in a moment, but I want to caution you, and I'll tell you why after I look at this passage, one problem which may be used when we look at a passage like this. So this is in the book of Esther, a few books after the book of Kings, which we were just in, and notice what it says in verse 3. It says, "And the king appointed officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hegi the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given." So the point here is these women were being prepared for a visitation with the king of the day, and part of the process before going to the king was going through this purification process. If you read some other translations, they go even more directly and will use the word like cosmetics. And even if you scroll down a few verses to verse 9, what does it say? "The maiden Esther pleased him." It talks about how here Esther was speedily given her things for purification. And it gets even more detailed as you scroll down to verse 12 in the narrative, and it gives us even more details about what sort of purification this actually entailed and included. Now, when every maid's turn was to come to go into the king, they had 12 months, according to the manner of women, for their purification. And it was 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with things for the purification of the women. So these particular women went through different protocol, 6 months and 6 months in total for 12 months to beautify themselves to look better in regards to their visitation with the king. Now, like I said, there's one thing that so many people miss when it comes to this particular topic of wearing makeup as a Christian. We'll talk about that in a moment, but I want to highlight two passages which I think are very vital and add to this particular equation. In another book in the Old Testament, the book of Jeremiah, notice what this passage says here when God is talking about the Israelites being evil and basically going to fall into judgment at some point in the future. This is Jeremiah chapter 4 verse 30. Read more for context, but it says, "And when you are spoiled, what are you going to do?" He says, "Though you clothe yourself with crimson, though you deck yourself with ornaments of gold, though you rent your face with painting." This is actually really key here, what God actually says next and how God describes what's actually just happened. He says, "In vain," so this is vain, but notice, "you shall make yourself fair. Your lovers will despise you and they will seek your life." So the key part here is that God outlined things such as clothing yourself with crimson and decking yourself with ornaments of gold and painting your face. He said, these are things which make you fair, make you beautiful, but this is going to be in vain in this particular situation. It's interesting when you look at a passage like this, although this is a judgment passage, God didn't have to describe it in this way and say these are things which make you look beautiful, but in this particular equation, it's not going to be for your benefit because you've gone off into idolatry. Now, another passage which you can compare this with is in another book in the Old Testament, after the book of Jeremiah. This is the prophet Ezekiel in chapter 23 verse 40. Notice what it says. Again, a similar passage to Jeremiah where God is outlining some of the evil deeds and actions the Israelites are doing. He says one of the things they also did was, similar to Jeremiah, they sent men from afar to come unto them, right? And they washed themselves and they painted their eyes, makeup, and they decked themselves with ornaments, and they sat upon a stately bed and a table prepared before it. And they basically were going into idolatry. Now, again, this is another negative situation, just for the record. But at the same time, this passage isn't like categorically calling out painting your face with makeup or decking yourself with ornaments or anything along those lines. The key problem in these particular scenarios is idol worship or falling away from the Lord. So again, if wearing makeup isn't something which makes you fall away from the Lord or makes you fall into idolatry, or you become an idol to yourself where you think, you know, I have to wear this makeup in order to look beautiful, or if I don't wear this makeup, people are not going to see me, and all these different kind of things, right? This isn't necessarily an issue that the Bible clearly condemns. Now, 1 Peter chapter 3 and Timothy in the New Testament are two passages which will generally come up with this particular topic as well. And I'll just simplify this by telling you that those passages are not necessarily saying don't wear makeup or anything to make yourself look beautiful, but those passages are really focused on you not getting carried away with those particular things in your life and being more focused on the inner person and building up your inner person and not necessarily your outward appearance. Now, one thing which I said at the start of this video that many people miss out when they talk about this topic is men wear makeup as well. So everything I've said in today's video basically would apply to a man who was trying to wear makeup as well. Although we've talked about makeup in this video, another key thing which comes up time and time again is Christians being able to wear jewelry. And we talk about that in this video right here. You don't want to miss it.